Jasmine Brooks with Cascade Media Group, and today's guest is making a lasting impact on young men in our city. He's a former collegiate football player. He's the athletic director at Kaufman School, a football coach, a business owner, also a devoted husband, believer in the Lord, and my cousin, Micah Daniels.
Hey, how you doing, cuz?
How are you?
I'm
Welcome,
doing
welcome.
good. Thank you so much for having me. I'm honored, of course. I'm with the Jasmine Brooks, Coach Brooks, so I'm excited.
I'm excited. We're gonna before we kind of get into like all the good stuff, I like to start out with a fun little icebreaker to just get the situation get the our conversation going. So in
Okay.
the spirit of the Chiefs being undefeated 9-0, and you are a football coach,
Yes.
you're the head coach for your fantasy football team, and you need to fill six positions. I know there's tons of positions, but we just gonna keep it to six.
Okay.
And you have to explain why you choose your players. And the caveat is because you come from a large family, there's five of you, you need to use your relatives. So you have an
Hey.
assistant coach, a quarterback, wide receiver, defensive lineman, a linebacker, and a kicker.
Okay. All of them gotta be siblings, or I can mix it up a little bit.
You can mix it up. It has got to be, and it can be like your parents, your
Oh,
wife,
okay.
your sister's spouse. You just got to be someone from the family.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so I'll start with the my assistant coach or whatever coordinator has got to be Pops. OG, that's my role model. He's taught me everything that I know. Give all props to him, of course, and God, of course, for being where I am today. So I got to put Pops there to be that guy. Let's move on. Look up family. Dang, that's hard. I do got a lot to choose from. Okay, so I'm gonna
Easy.
go with my quarterback. I'm gonna have to go. Oh, this is a tough one, but my little baby sis, Nia, she is the youngest of the five of us, and she's not scared of the moment. That's why I need a quarterback that's again good under pressure. They can listen, they can make the play when we need it, and she showed up. So I'm gonna pick her for the quarterback. Defensive line, I gotta go my brother Isaiah. Everybody know we call him Big Eye. He's not the biggest, but he got a big personality and he got that dog in him. So that's somebody that can hold down the defensive line for me. Let me see. For receiver, I'm gonna go wifey. Now
Okay.
you may not know, but Lil Ness got some wheels on her. It was one family reunion that I seen her run for the first time. I'm like, I don't know how I've never seen this. She low key was getting out there, so she might not catch it, but she'd get there on the route and get open. So I would put that wide out. And then my brothers play college football also, so I'm gonna put my oldest brother at running back. So Malachi will be the running back, Ness at receiver. I got Pops as one of the coaches.
All you
Isaiah
need is a
line
kicker.
kicker. Oh Lord,
That one special team.
that one special team. Of course I got to give it to Imani. I guess she played a little soccer in her heyday. I guess none of us were soccer players, but she might be able to get the job done. So I'm gonna just throw her in there just because we filling spots. So I'm gonna put it.
Okay. I love that. I think that what the beauty and part of your unique story is just the family aspect of where you come from. You come from a village, a community, a black household. You're a black male in society. You are a very, very small percent in this world. And so
No
that's
doubt.
what we're gonna that's what we're gonna talk about today. So interestingly enough, we got 5.7% of men in the US that identify as black, and then the national rate is 34.5% that are in like post-secondary education, and
Mm.
only 2% make up the education field. And you are part of that 2% of black male educators. And so as you think about just the small group of black males in this world, what does it mean to you to be a black male educator right now in this world?
Yes, no, that's a great question. I actually my whole life kind of felt that I was called to people, just kind of like how God made me. I'm a people person. I talk a lot, as you know, and like just anybody. I don't see anybody just a stranger. Like I could literally talk to a stranger for an hour, like we've known each other for years. So I really feel like this since I like grew up in not just in my household, but my parents who were in ministry also. So just like that's been a calling of service, and literally what I call being an educator is literally a service job. It is a social justice service. It is servant leadership, servanthood. All of those type of servant aspects is literally what an educator is. And so I definitely think that had a lot bringing up in my childhood, even though I never like thought I would be a teacher or be a coach or like I really didn't. It kind of just happened. But it was crazy the older that I got in college. I actually wrote in a research class like why has there never been any black teachers? Because I grew up, did not have one black teacher my entire elementary, junior high, high school, college career. Never had one. And literally, it was just God that how I was writing that report. And I looked up some of those results that you just named. And I was like, this is literally disheartening. Like, this is insane. And so that kind of probably was the first spark that's just like, God, if an opportunity comes, I definitely feel like that's a need that I want to step into. And so, literally, again, COVID happened when I graduated 2020s and schools were needing teachers. And I'm like, Lord, I've never taught. I don't have this major background, but I love kids. I love the youth. I love serving. So, let me jump into it. And so, that's when I first began at Kaufman. So, being a black male educator is literally like a purpose driven job. Like, I don't take it lightly at all. Like, the reason why I'm in the classroom is because again, I want to teach kids that look like me, the black and brown population. I want to be one of the teachers that the kids like, no, I grew up and I had a black teacher, but not just that for the sake, but I want to be an impactful teacher, like an educator. I want to be an impact in anything that I do. And I always tell my kids every day, like, I care more about you as a person than you as a student, as an athlete. Like, I care about you. I want you to know that you matter. You're worthy of it. Like, you deserve to be in a good school with great education. Like, you are smart. Like, you're a scholar. Like, don't let anybody take that away from you. So that's literally my whole main purpose and driven of why I want to be in education and in the schools is so kids can know that and are black and brown boys and girls can like grow up knowing that they are kings and queens and like they can do amazing things and they can be the smartest in the room and not feel any type of way or they can ask questions that again there's no dumb questions. You're curious as a kid and so that's only going to help you grow in life. And so that's literally why I do what I do and why I love what I'm doing.
I think that that is not even just like inspirational, but it's just such a blessing for the community that you're a part of and the impact that you're having. Um, that just surpasses the sport because you're way more than just a coach. Like you are a mentor, you're even a father to some. Like I know that there's times when your athletes they need things and you're providing shoes, you're providing food, you're providing a safe space. And one thing that I think is really cool about you is that you can ebb and flow and you can figure it out with swag and confidence. I remember I forgot what like time frame this was, but your wife, which is my
Mhm.
cousin, Janessa, she told me about how you like coached a sport and had never coached that sport before. And that was track and field, right?
Yes, yes.
I've done
What?
football,
Yeah.
basketball, track and field. I have come to the games and have seen Coach Daniels. And I've also seen Micah Daniels, like the human person, the coach. And it is so amazing to see just the talents and the gifts that you have naturally and how you're using your God-given purpose to have an impact. So one of the things that I have a question for you about is as someone who loves the youth but is also like still you've worked with middle schoolers and high schoolers, what is the main difference between the two?
Oof, that is that's real. That's a good question. Wow, working with both, and I'll say it kind of like hits perfect like right now in this season I'm in because right now we just transitioned from football, so I'm a varsity high school football coach, and then I go straight into the winter sports where I'm the middle school head basketball coach. So I kind of see that transition literally as we speak in this season, and I would say probably the biggest difference of the two is you're able to see them grow, like mature wise. Of course, physically they get taller and all those things, but like you get to see them grow mature wise and like kind of figure out who they are, like what they want to be. So like I would say my middle schoolers are a lot more curious. They'll ask those questions. They don't feel any type of way about it. Like, they are always just like wanting to, hey, if I think it, I'm gonna say it. We know middle schoolers. The filter is not always there. So they go say it, which I love that about them. And then high school, I would say that they're a little bit more, of course, mature, but they're more curious of like, okay, I kind of want to know what I want to do, but I don't really know what I want to do. And so they're kind of in this phase of like, hey, coach, like, can you help me with blah, 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 blah. But they don't really know, like, I know what they're asking. I'm like, bro, just say what you're trying to say. Like, I know what you're trying to say. But like, they're kind of just a little bit more, I would say kind of reserved or mature with how they do it. They don't want to just be out there like how in middle school, they just don't care. So.
They don't. Middle schoolers will hurt your feelings sometimes if you don't have thick
But
skin.
hey, come on, you gotta have thick skin. That's the only way. Only way.
So we know that like sports brings just a lot of pros to youth in general, from the physical and mental health, social skills, especially being a person of color. It's oftentimes an outlet, and a space for them to thrive and to just start to create like an identity that they might not necessarily have fostered at home.
Yeah.
So from your perspective, like talk about the power of mentorship and just developing young men of caliber at this time in your life.
Yeah, no, I would say that's probably the biggest component. Like you said, the sports is what gets the kids there. Like we know that that's our kids' biggest motivation, especially working in the inner city as you do too. Like that's what our kids want to do. That's why they want to go to certain schools they want to. Like how good are the sports? How are they thriving? How is that like? What are the jerseys? What are all that stuff? So we know that's a way to again entice or feel good about themselves. But the biggest part of coaching, I would say, is like the mentorship. Like you coaching, you're a teacher. Like your job isn't just I tell my parents and our parent meeting all the time, like two things I can only guarantee you from your boys is number one, they will get better at the sport that they do, but more importantly, when they leave off my team, they'll become a better man. And what I mean by that when I tell my parents that is like I want them to learn and grow mature, but like what is it as a young black man? Like what is it as how I navigate life in America? Like again, we talk basketball or X's and O's, but like my thing that I really take pride in is like in those like team huddles, in those practices, in those locker room conversations. Like, yeah, the sports is cool and all, but like those are the times that I really get to not just like learn my kids even more, like how they are, their character, their upbringing, everything, but like how I get to speak life into them and how we do the mentorship. Like, hey, what just happened on the court? This is a thing that happens in life. Now, when something doesn't go your way, what are you gonna do? You just gonna quit? You can't just walk off on your team. Like, how are you gonna like so like kind of translating those to the sport that we're currently playing and say like these are the life lessons that you can literally take away from the game if you continue to learn that. So that's my biggest thing. I think being a coach is like the greatest teacher and again the impact that you can make on a youth. And so that's one of the biggest things that I really take seriously. And I want to continue to allow God to use me in that to be able to like speak life and speak those life lessons into them to know like, hey, it's cool and all to be a great athlete, but nobody cares if you're not a good person. If again, you can be the most talented, but coaches are going to see how you respond to your teammates. If you're not coachable, if this or that, and they're like, nah, I don't really want that kind of character in my locker room. And that's why always tell them your character reputation matters more than anything of your talent or what the sport can bring you. So make sure that is the best thing. I want y'all to be all American in your character before any sport. So
That that's what you call a legacy. They I think oftentimes, especially in the Black community, we look at sports as our golden ticket out of the hood or out of our circumstances. And we get used to being in this performance mode in order to see court time, in order to see that scholarship. But
yeah,
what you said is going to surpass way past football, basketball, track and field. Like your character, those soft skills that you learn now is what will sustain you in your 20s, your 30s, your 40s, and so on. That the sport can't, like a sport can't sustain you, but your character, your faith, for those that do believe in something higher than them, like that is what is most important. And I think that's incredible that you that's the impact that you're focusing on.
Yeah, and one of the things I just want to add to that is like my kids know so much. Like again, I talk about that out of the off the court, like in the classroom type thing. They know I don't play about that. Like if you are in the class, you joking around, playing around, getting whatever consequences that the school gives or whatever, like and you think you're gonna play or practice, you
Mm.
got me messed up like that. If you can't handle that, how can I trust you on the court, on the field to do what you're supposed to? So even parents know, like they'll text me like, "Hey, he ain't doing his chores. Oh, he ain't." Oh, I'd be like, hey, mom, say less. Hey, at practice, I'm gonna see him. And then again, those are life things. Like if you're not better at home and you causing chaos and making your people stress at the crib, that like what are we doing here? Like the basketball point, like you don't ever want to be gone and it be a burden to your parents that you gone and they just want to get rid of you. No, you want that when you're in the house that you're making an impact even for your parents. Like, of course, our kids come from many different upbringings, but like again, we know our kids have to do help at the home, whether it's jobs, working, actually paying bills. Like, and if you're not that, especially from our middle schoolers that aren't even there yet, like you can be a help at the home from just being a great sibling, being a great son or daughter or whatever. Like, do what you're supposed to at home so your parents can like again want you to do these things, but it's also a blessing to them. So it's real.
I think something about being a male that is so unique is that you have to be guided into discipline. You have to know how to self-control yourself. Um, there's a lot of things when it comes to developing young men that's way different than developing young girls. I can get away with being a little bit more softer in my with my emotions and kind of leading that way with my girls, and not for all of them, right? But for most of them. And I see with the guys, it's like they need a little bit more just I think accountability. And
Mm.
it takes I think a level of strength and consistency from the male coaches that are, guiding them in order to see that result. Um and to just yeah, I think to see that result. One of the things that I think is pretty interesting is that sports brings about identity to us. And when we think about just overall, like I said, sports is the ticket for many people, right? Many, especially Black households, like that scholarship, that paying for the schools because college is expensive. Um, but how, like for you, right? You played college football. So you're in a very small percentage that actually ever see a collegiate scholarship. But how did you keep your identity and not let sports define you?
Yeah, no, that's a that's something that literally took time and experience. Like for me growing up, of course, my parents, again, I'm thank God for them. Both my parents very much instilled in us like we're not what we play or what we do. Like we're way more than that, and what God has called us to be is like that's who we are. So I've never like not known that because they instilled that like literally all the time every day. But one thing that I definitely knew is like as I got older, I definitely wanted sports to be like you said, that ticket. Like I want to be a college athlete. I want to, of course, when I want to go to the league. Like that's my biggest. I love sports. Like that's literally all I did growing up. So like that was my biggest goal. But as I got older, and again, you understand the statistics behind like literally, we're talking about a 1%, like 0.8% people that make it to the league or to, really even college is under 10%. Like that is a very hard thing to do. It is not for the faint of heart and it's not anything like just like it's gonna happen. Like, so I had to learn that one, an injury probably helped me out the best in life. Like I don't, and it was only God because again, I thought like, I was gonna be the best at everything I did when I got injured and I had to sit out,
Mm,
that was the first moment that I ever had to think like,
yeah.
okay, if I don't go to the league or this golden ticket doesn't happen, like, what am I gonna do? Like, that was the first time I had to think, and I literally never thought about it. And it came through from an injury, but I feel like just teaching kids now, like, this can't be your end all be all. Because again, even if you do, and again, I never discourage saying that it won't ever happen. It's possible. It's very hard, like not just hard work and talent, but you gotta have in the right places, right opportunities, like for it to happen. But anyways, even after that, who are you? Like, what are you going to do when that game? Because the game is not ever going to last. And you still have to know what you want to do, what you're good at, how to be marketable, how to get a job, how to sustain a job, how to
Mhm.
continue to provide for your family. Like these are things that are never going to leave you. So I feel like that's the biggest part of it, of just like understanding, hey, this can't be my golden ticket. This can be a goal and an aspiration that I have. But in the meantime, while trying to do that, I need to be obtaining some other things that are actually going to help me out in life. Like I need to learn finances and learn how to provide and learn my character and all those other things that I think, again, are bigger things. But again, some kids, they wait till senior year and they thought they was banking on this scholarship and it never comes. And it's like you had all these other colleges academically or whatever that you could have got a scholarship to, but you turned it down because you thought football was going to be the ticket. And now you're without that scholarship and without the scholarship you had from these other colleges. Now you're kind of sitting there in a bad spot. And that's one, those are one of my biggest like fears that I just don't want to happen to our kids. And so that's just something that, again, the more you try to just tell it, I think over time, like the more they hear it and see it, and like you give them again, kids, it's cool to hear stuff and hear from coaches. Sometimes it's just talk, but when they actually see it, or like you read something in the paper, or like, on social media nowadays, and you like, hey, this is a situation that happened to a kid. Like we not just talking, like this is real life that's happening to kids all over the country. Like we're being serious about it. Sometimes it just takes something else for a kid for it to click. So
Yeah.
that's
I think you've said a lot of great things. And one of them that kind of just made me think of is the co-op founding. So Kaufman and University Academy, also known as UA, you guys have a combined football program, two different schools uniting for just the love of football. How did the co-op become a thing?
Yes, no, that's been crazy. So of course this happened in the works over some time. So when I came to Kaufman in 2020, of course my first question was like, we're the football team. Like what y'all, well, I don't know what y'all doing. Like, how don't y'all have a football team? And so it was just all the stuff like, oh, we've talked about it for years and we just don't know if it's gonna happen and whatever, if it's liability this, or we just don't know if our kids would like it, or, whatever it was. I'm like, listen, if anything happens, well, I don't know how long I'm gonna be here, but if anything that I want to for sure make sure happens is to get a football team. Like I don't care how I need to, whatever. Like that is my biggest goal. So I literally, when I first started, that was a goal of mine. And so kind of how it came is University Academy. Of course, they're 3 minutes down the road. They have a team and everything like that. So what was actually crazy is while working at Kaufman, I just again finished playing college football. I'm like, I cannot be away from the game. Like I'm not playing no more, so I need to be a part somehow. So actually, while I was working at Kaufman my second year, as I'm still in the talks of like, hey, how are we gonna make this happen? Can we make this happen? I reached out to University Academy, was like, hey, my school is right there. I need to be a part of the game. So like, hey, what's up? Y'all got a spot? And they literally took me in. So I first started just coaching for UA. And so I was working at Kaufman, coaching over there, and they're like, "Where you go?" I'm like, I'm going to a team. Like they got a football team. I gotta be a part." So that's how it first started. And then while being at UA, I'm like, y'all, this is what I've been telling them. I know that y'all probably heard this again. Kaufman's been over a decade long, so I wasn't the first for it to be brought up or anything. But it was just more so that I was in the system and I was a part of the staff, that I was able to actually be like, hey, y'all, these schools are literally very similarly aligned in their mission and their goals. Like we're charter schools, we're right by each other. Like I don't know how we cannot make this happen. And so that was a great experience of like that kind of second, third year. Our athletic director at the time, Kristen Kreitz, she was kind of like pushing it and like hearing me. And I'm like, hey, but like it can happen. What do we need to do? And so it got to like writing proposals, taking it to the board. I had to like do these things of like these interest meetings where I'm just like, y'all, if this was to happen, they're like, we don't know how many kids. I'm like, watch, just give me a couple of days. We called this interest meeting. We had a room packed full of kids of like, oh, are we getting this? Is this something that's real? And so like that's kind of how it got. And like the board saw the signatures. We had them filling out like put kind of petitions type like, hey, we need football. Da, da. Like I did whatever that I thought could help, talking to people, admin, outside sources, community leaders, like whatever I could do to like, can y'all help them see that this is a need? This is something that would benefit both schools. So, anyways, long story short, after my second year, they officially was just like, okay, we feel more comfortable joining a school that already has it, so it's not just all on us, and like we feel comfortable about that, and we think it can happen. So literally, when it got approved from the board, I was on 10. I was so hyped. I was like, y'all, this is happening. It's real. It's coming. And so literally, I was just God how you was able to see it through. But yeah, we got that, and so it started in high school, and then literally, I was like, I'm a middle school teacher. I was a middle school ELA teacher and then now middle school PE coach and athletic director for the middle school. I'm like, oh, I'm not done. That was just high school. We got it kicked off. We've been in high school for about 3 years. Let's get middle school, our 7 and 8. And literally this year was the first year that we co-op with middle school for 7th and 8th grade. And the boys were undefeated. I said,
Oh
listen,
my
hey,
God.
hey, yo, I'm telling y'all it can happen. So literally now we got 7th through 12th grade football at Kaufman, co-oping with University Academy. And the teams is like, we're building a program. And like, again, the community, the people they're seeing like, wow, this is something we didn't have that we have now. So we're just continuing to build and grow.
That is what, first of all, that's amazing. I personally didn't even know like the full story of how the co-op became a thing. And I think that's inspiring for of just what you all are doing for the city, for our boys, for our community. Because when we think about football, I mean, Friday Night Lights is a thing, football Sunday is a thing. Like football in general brings people together. And that is exactly what you all are doing. You're bringing families, communities, kids together. And it really is just surpassing way more than just football. So that's amazing.
Yeah, no, and we have a great coaching staff. Like we put our like 3 pillars for our team is to be positive, be meticulous, and be together. And it's like the craziest thing that people would from the outside think, oh, 2 schools on one team, that wouldn't work, or like they'll always be beef and over. When I tell you, it's literally everything opposite. Like the boys love each other. Like they're together, like they're positive. Like it's literally been the best type of co-op that could ever happen. It just like it seamlessly just worked, and there was literally no hiccups with that, and like all the little drama, whatever people thought, like we haven't even seen it. So big testament to our coaches, our admin staff, all of that. So it's
You
been
guys are
great.
creating a brotherhood, which is needed. Um, I'm really big on sisterhood, camaraderie, community, and that is what is happening. Young boys that are becoming young men, brotherhood is happening, mentorship, and so that's really exciting. And with not even just the co-op founding, I look at you as an entrepreneur, someone who creates paths, but you do it with strength and resilience and like it's like the energy that you started out with is the same energy that you end with, which is a dog mentality too, right? Like that's just not something that it's something that is developed but is like it's innate in you, like you're used to hard work. And so with that has also come Be Great Skills Academy. Talk to us what that is, and how you started your own business essentially.
Yeah, so Be Great Skills Academy is my football sports training that I just started this past April. And so what that is literally after I finished playing, I always like, man, I didn't know how much I would love coaching. And so when I started out coaching, I'm just like, man, this is the greatest thing. So I even more so was like, how do I train like kids and do this kind of like more than just in season? Because of course I was a position coach and now a defensive coordinator, but I'm just like, the boys are always like asking for more work. Like, hey, can we do more? So like literally it started of just like after practices and after season in the off season, I would just be training kids. And then it started with just my school and then they tell their friends and then other kids from other schools. And like I would be training kids on the weekends or in the off season and stuff like that. And I was just like, dang, I love training. Like it's coaching, but it's like more fine tuned where I get to like actually have this time to teach more and like actually say like, hey, this is why I'm saying what I'm saying. I'm not just telling you this so I can show them myself on the field. I can talk it, and then again, they show it themselves, and I'm able to do the more coaching, hands-on stuff that I just in a practice time with a team, you just don't get all that time. So like that's kind of like how it started. And so again, I was just doing it for free for the love of it, everything. And like it literally was one time that a parent it was a kid and a parent. They're like, "Do you how much do you cost?" I'm like, "What you mean?" I was like, "No, I'm just doing." They're like, "What you doing this for free?" They're like, you need to make this like a business. Like you can literally be doing this and like make there's trainers all the time. I was like, yeah, I know, but like that literally wasn't just my mission. I was just like, I'm doing it for the love of it, and I just want the boys to be better. Like I just love bringing boys from whoever to get working and just develop their craft. Like I'm all about development. And so when that sparked, I'm just like, they might have been on or something. I'm like, let me see. So it literally the Be Great name always started when I was in college. My biggest motto, like every time I step on the field, is like, hey, it's time to be great today. It's a great day to be great. And I literally always said it, and they like, boy, you always awesome, be great. Like, why you always talk about that? I'm like, I don't
You
know
sound
how.
so corny, but
Yeah,
no.
yeah, yeah. It was just, but they always knew that, like, hey, be great five. Like, I was number five.
Mhm.
So that was just a thing, like, and it just stuck. And I'm like, when I say be great, like, I'm literally talking about like, and whatever you do, like, it's not good isn't okay. Like, I don't, God didn't call us to be average. I don't like being average. Like, I want to be the best every single time I step on the court, the field, anything. Like, I want to be great. And so that kind of like how the name and everything. And I'm like, if I did this training, I'm gonna call it Be Great. And I was like, what can we add to it? And again, it just got to just playing around with it. But it got to Be Great Skills Academy. And so that started this past April where I like of course my own boys and stuff that I still trained and stuff. I still did that and I was still coaching. But then I branched it out and just like, hey, I'm gonna open it up for just the KC Metro. So any kid, all ages, all levels, skill level, I don't care what you come in as, like I want you to be great. And so my kind of motto is if you want to be great, you got to do what it takes. And that's the work that I'm putting. I literally tell all my kids that, like, hey, you got to put in the work. Like, that's what it means. Like, you got to do what it takes if you really want to be great. You can't just talk about it. Let's get this work in. So I opened it up and now I, like, again, train kids all levels. My youngest right now is like 8 years old. I got to college kids in Kansas and Missouri. And so I just started it and put it on Instagram. That's like my main feed right now, and kind of branched it out from there. Started making videos. I'm a communication major study, so that actually kind of finally did something
Mhm.
with it. I'm like, hey, I'm doing some like kind of graphics and video production and stuff like that just on Instagram and stuff. But it started small. It's something that I just started, and so I just want to continue to just see it grow and just continue to just reach out to people who ever want it. So that's the Be Great Skills Academy. So I love it so far.
Where can we find you on Instagram?
Yeah, so you need to go to at Be Great Skills Academy, all spelled out. And if you follow me on Instagram, in the kind of bio, it kind of tells you like all of that stuff. And
Tell them what your Instagram is.
yeah, so my Instagram is at Be Great Skills Academy, all the way spelled out. And then once you follow, you'll be able to see all the kind of videos that I've done, the coaching, the teach tapes that I have with it. And again, people are able to DM me or text me and just like, hey, I'm interested. So I'm all about word of mouth. That's really kind of how all my clients get spread throughout KC Metro right now, parents and players and stuff like, hey, you need to come to this. So again, Instagram is just a way to help that. So any follow, repost, all of that stuff really helps a lot. So again, that's something I've been loving.
Thank you so much. Micah, oh, our time is coming to an end. But before we close, I have one more just question for you. As all the things that you're doing, you're bridging gaps, you're bringing people together, you're developing young players, young men. What is one piece of advice or encouragement that you would give to your younger self, and how would you pass that along to other young men that are navigating similar paths as you?
Mm. She on it. Hey, this is how she go. That's she the best here. These are some great questions. To my younger self, I would I would tell myself honestly, it's okay to fail. It's okay to fail. Just don't quit. So I just know for me, I always wanted to just be perfect. Like I'm a perfectionist. I hated messing up, hated not being, I always wanted to be the first pick, wanted to be the best, wanted to go the furthest. And so, again, when my dreams of going to the league or whatever, when it didn't happen, like I still had that motivation of like, but I can still be something. I can still be impactful. I can still do what I love and do it at a high level. And it doesn't have to mean that I'm in the NFL or the NBA. So I would just tell my younger self, like, stop trying to be perfect. Stop trying to be, afraid to mess up on stuff. Like, that's what's going to help you grow. And that's what's going to help you actually be better at what you can be great at later on in life. And so that's probably the best piece of advice I would take. Like it's okay to fail. It's okay to not get what your goal was. You still got a lot in you that you can still be great in and do amazing things.
For sure. And as someone of faith and that just believes in God and having a purpose and a calling, the more that we walk in our purpose and our calling, the more greatness comes naturally that surpasses any type of plan that we could have ever imagined.
Everything could imagine. You is not
Everything
lying.
that we could have imagined. Well, it's been such a pleasure, Michael. Oh my gosh, our time has gone by so fast. But I just uplift you. I encourage you as you lead and you guide young men, as you mentor them, you develop them into just into becoming this next generation that leads our city. So thank you so much for sharing your insights and your experiences. Until next time.
This is brought to you by Pleasant Dental Care, family oriented, comprehensive care for all your dental needs, where we help your smile shine bright.